Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. I realize that this is a day late. Normally we get together on Thursdays, but couldn't be avoided. I just had too much on my plate yesterday and I could not get on to Facebook. So we're here today. And while I'm thinking about it, I will let you know that the week of the 20th, that Thursday night, I will have a live that night, but it will be pre-recorded because I'm going to be going out of town that weekend, and there's just some things that I have to do on that particular night. But instead of putting people off or whatever, I'm just going to go ahead and pre-record the live, and then I'll post it so that everybody will still be able to see it on Thursday night. All right. So welcome to Weeds and Wisdom. And just while we're waiting for everybody to get on, I'll remind you that any of the previous lives that we've had in the past will be uploaded onto the Crooked House Herbals YouTube channel. Feel free to go there and peruse any of the other broadcasts that we've done, and feel free to like it and subscribe if that's what you want to do. It's completely up to you. I don't monetize or anything like that. I'm just doing it strictly for your benefit, to be able to somehow archive things, because Facebook doesn't keep live streams forever. There's only a certain amount of time and then they take it off. So this way everything is uploaded onto YouTube, and you can get it for future reference, because life happens and sometimes you need information later, and it'll be there. So tonight's topic is inspired, I guess you could say, by an event that took place in the last week or 10 days. And it was actually with my mother. My mother is 90 and takes no medications. She's strictly cared for naturally, and she uses all my product and my instructions, and she's still here. She's still kicking, but she has macular degeneration. And because she had surgeries before in her eyes, she has a real sensitivity to, like, my eye drops and that kind of stuff, and it was unable to use them to help correct any of the things that were going on with her eyes. And so now she's stuck with macular degeneration, and she gets shots in her eye every, 5 or 6 weeks. It's painful, but usually after about the 3rd day, she's, up and running again, playing aggravation and Mexican train with her friends, and life goes on. Well, this last time that she had her shot in her eye, it didn't get better, and it didn't get better, and it didn't get better, and it started getting worse, and she had a tremendous amount of pain, and the eye swelled shut again, and it was just a big mess. And so she went back to the doctor, only to find out that she had shingles in her eye. Just imagine that. I mean, shingles has got to be one of the most painful things that you can get anyway, and this is in her eye. And she said, her eye, and probably down in her ear, her eustachian tubes, and all the, it's all in here, which explains some of the other pain and discomfort she had been having previously. Well, she's doing better now. I'll tell you that much. She was able to use my Vica Wild and wild lettuce and kava drops and that kind of thing to help with the pain, and we had her taking some antivirals, pretty serious doses of Not Today and ivermectin, and some different things, and she's doing better. She also got a prescription from the doctor for basically a souped up antiviral, and is back on track. But it got me thinking, and I thought, this is just another thing. I did a deep dive on shingles, and I discovered some really interesting things. One, it mainly, if I'm sure most of you know, it stems from the same virus, the varicella zoster, or however you want to say it, virus, which is the one that is associated with chickenpox. And so they say if you've had chickenpox before, then there's a good chance you can get shingles, blah blah blah. Well, they say that out of one side of their mouth, and then the other side of their mouth, they say it mainly happens in women, and it's mainly women over 50, and the biggest risk factor for getting shingles is immune deficiency. In other words, if your immune system becomes weakened, that's when you are at risk for getting shingles. So let's connect those dots. Women, and then they said there's also stress. Stress factors in. Which, what does stress do? Stress lowers your immune system. We know this. This is all not news to us, right? But I thought it was interesting. Like I said, out of one side of their mouth, they're saying, it's viral. If you've had chickenpox, you're likely to get it. And then the other side of their mouth, they're narrowing it down to mostly happens in women over 50 and women over 50 that have weakened immune systems. Well, that's interesting to me. And it should also be a little bit of a warning to everybody. Because I can see where this could end up being a little bit of a problem, a future issue, maybe in the near future issue for a lot of people. Most of us that are in our age bracket had the chickenpox when we were little. We just did it. It was like the neighborhood thing, so-and-so's kids have chickenpox, so they let all their kids go down and play with them, and so everybody got chickenpox at the same time, and you got done with it. It was the same way with the measles. We just all shared and got it over with, and then we didn't have to drag it out in the neighborhood. So most people have had chickenpox. But let's think about it in terms of what they were saying were the biggest risk factors. The biggest risk factors being weakened immune systems and being over 50. So, all the baby boomers are in that bracket. But let's talk about the other part of that, and that is the weakened immune system. Now, think about this in light of what we have dealt with for the past 4 years. All right, we have dealt with a series of things that have done nothing but weaken our immune systems, if you have participated. Fortunately, my mother did not, and she has also been pretty vigilant and diligent to keep her immune system strong, especially for her age. And I'm sure that's one reason she will be able to kick this and keep going. But let's say it was one of her other friends that lives where she lives that maybe lined up to get 3 or 4 different shots in the arm and or had contracted a certain disease or virus when it came around and has never really fully bounced back and recovered. I'm trying to say this without getting myself kicked off Facebook. But let's just think about it in those terms. Let's think about the things that weaken your immune system. Okay? Being sick weakens your immune system. Contracting viruses weakens your immune system. The way you eat weakens your immune system. Stress will weaken your immune system. So, you put all of that stuff together, you have a stressful situation, you're not eating the way you should be eating, you have been injecting things into your bloodstream, or you have contracted a virus that has taken you down. All of those things not only weaken your immune system at that time, but will perpetually weaken your immune system depending on what you've done. And sorry, my computer is kind of doing its own thing these days. I'm not sure. I think I need to reboot it, or I don't know. It's making dinging noises. I can't seem to turn things off. Not sure what's going on with it. Just ignore it. So anyway, you've got several factors that are already in play to weaken your immune system, and you're over 50. Okay? So if you have any other vices, if you have any other things you're doing, on top of that, if you smoke, or if you are, a poor eater, you have poor eating habits, or if you're taking steroids, any of those kinds of things, those are all piling up to weaken your immune system even more. We've talked at length, probably ad nauseum, about how to boost your immune system and how important your diet, the role that your diet plays in doing all of that. And it can't just be hit and miss, guys. It has to be your life. You've got to be consistent to rebuild. I've told you and told you and told you. You get new cells every 11 months. You can rebuild. It's not hopeless, but you've got to stay on a positive track. You've got to be doing things to give your body something to replicate. Otherwise, it's just going to replicate what it already has. Okay? Baby steps. So, we have all of these things coming into play. Now, what can we do this is a very real thing, okay? This isn't a, maybe what if, wouldn't it be horrible if this happened type of thing. This is in your face, and it's very real, especially for those who have succumbed to the pressures of, taking shots and injecting things into your body, or, various other things. If that's you, then it's very important for you to do double duty to rebuild and boost your immune system, because the things that are in your bloodstream now are going to work very hard to tear down your immune system. Things will start cropping up. You'll start having issues in weak areas of your body. Maybe it's kidneys, maybe it's heart, maybe you'll have, you'll develop different things going on with your brain or whatever. So it's going to be different for every person, but it boils down to your immune system isn't able to keep up with the invaders. Okay, so you have to know that, and you have to take steps to be proactive and bolster your immune system in that way. So, I'm hoping that I'm making sense, and I hope that you are following me, understanding where I'm going with this. So, in light of the whole shingles thing, I just really started thinking about this is very, very important. Our immune systems will tend to weaken with age, naturally. I mean, just because, you know, our lifestyles are different. We don't eat, you know, some people who maybe live alone, they don't have the need to prepare, you know, big meals or maybe complete meals like they used to when they had a family at home, or, you know, caring for kids or whatever. You know, you tend to just throw a baked potato in, maybe grab a bowl of soup or something like that, and it's a little bit more difficult for you to think, well, you know, I need some complete protein here. I need to have my vegetables and my fruits, and I need to bolster my immune system. That's one reason I do, you know, remind my mother to have at least one plant-based protein shake a day. She makes herself a protein shake so that she is getting, and I have her put, you know, like a healthy green powder, spirulina, and that kind of stuff in it, so that she is getting that those phyto chemicals, those, you know, and the other things that she needs to round out her nutrition, because she usually will eat one meal a day and stretch it out for two and, you know, breakfast goes by the wayside sometimes, and, you know, it's just different. So you have to be a little bit more careful. And then there's people like in my age group, and, you know, maybe a little younger, that are still working, and, you know, you don't take the time to do what you need to do for your body. So that needs to stop, and you need to figure it out. You need to somehow figure out what you can do with your routine in your life to make sure that your immune system is being boosted. That's one reason that I created the immune boosters I have. I've got my Vital Living elderberry syrup. I have my Vital Lift Immune Boost tincture, and I also have that in a syrup. I in fact, I give that to my dog. And I've got, you know, some other good things that you can do to keep your immune system fortified, along with good eating, drinking good water, and being aware of some of the other things. Now, a couple of weeks ago, it may have been 3 weeks ago, we talked about adaptogenic herbs. We talked about ashwagandha, we talked about astragalus, we talked about ginseng and ginger, and some of these other herbs that are all adaptogenic. Adaptogenic means what? It means that it helps your body deal with stress, any kind of stress, whether it's mental, emotional, or physical. If you are fighting off an illness, or if you are surrounded by people who are sick, you know, and you're just like, it's everywhere. Or if you have a mentally stressful job, or if you've got a physically stressful job, you would really, really benefit from adaptogenic herbs. I consume them daily, and I notice a difference, a big difference. When I have this tincture that I make. It's called Energize Me, and I actually created it for me because I have one of those thyroids that doesn't really show up on, you know, I'm always like within normal limits, whatever that means, but I feel like it's a little on the sluggish side. So I included some very good herbs. Some of them are Chinese herbs, and some of them are adaptogenic herbs. And I created a tincture that feeds my thyroid, but it also gives me some of these adaptogenic herbs as well. And I take that, I usually just take it in the morning. And I feel the sustaining benefits of it all day long. It is now 7:30 at night. I've been up since 5, and I have worked hard all day, and I'm still conscious. So I am going to suggest, I don't normally do it that way, but if I was you, How about that? I would definitely look into some adaptogenic herbs as part of your regimen for boosting and maintaining a good immune system. Okay? I think it's interesting. If you know anybody that has had shingles recently, or, you know, maybe more than once, the other group, risk factor group, that I uncovered, you know, in several different studies that I was reading, was the group that had like liver or kidney transplants, you know, that had compromised immune systems in that way. But it always goes back to the immune system. So that tells me two things. One, that our immune system, when it's functioning normally and it's healthy, is totally able to fight off that virus. Okay? That zoster virus. We shouldn't have to worry about getting shingles late in life if our immune system is normal. So you think about it. How many people, your parents, grandparents, or, you know, aunts, uncles, or whatever, how many of them in your family ended up with shingles when they were old? I don't know. I think maybe one for me. I don't know. I don't remember ever hearing anybody so-and-so has shingles. But I do have a friend who has had a liver transplant and a kidney transplant and has had shingles in the, you know, fairly recent past. And it tells me a lot that we don't want to set ourselves up for that. You know, you need to make sure that your immune system is a top priority for you. Because not just because you need to function during the day and life is hard and blah, 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 but you don't want to end up contracting some of these other things when you don't need to. Okay? It's just another sign of the times. Okay? For lack of a better phrase. You know, it all boils down to the food we're eating, the lifestyle we're living, the stress we're living under. It's all increased. And our food is very compromised if you're buying it from the stores. And we know that it's not even real. A lot of it isn't real. And I just read today an article about the yellow dye that's in Doritos. Okay? I don't eat Doritos. I don't even like Doritos. But I know people who do. And I thought, you know, if they read this, they probably would never touch another one of those. It was really gross. So Google yellow dye in Doritos and take a read on what they're finally exposing and letting loose about that kind of stuff. We all know that it's about the money, and we're never really going to get all the truth. But it's okay. We don't have to have it. What we need to know is that our bodies are capable of fighting off disease. They're capable of righting its own ship when we're stressed. We have the tools. We were designed with all of those processes, with all of those hormones, with all of those things. We already have them, but they're compromised. And unless you are, unless you're one-upping, okay? Unless you are being more vigilant and diligent about what you eat, about boosting your immune system naturally with things that your body can assimilate and can use, you're probably falling behind, okay? And that's going to be not a good thing, because shingles is just one thing that could happen, but you don't want to have your body start tearing itself down just trying to function. And you don't want to create an environment for other things to grow, like cancer or whatever. Okay? We've talked about that too. We know that cancer can be starved out of your body. I'm living proof. Okay, it has to have something to eat. So if you're not, if your body is not a good dwelling place for it, it won't survive. But if you're feeding it, it's gonna take over. Be super happy. Okay, some of the risk factors, like I said, for shingles is being over 50. Well, that puts a lot of us in that group. It talks about, cell-mediated immunity. So your cells they're just compromised and they're not able to mediate like they usually are. So you've got to fortify them. You have to boost them. You have to give them extra tools to work with. Okay? Infection from human... Okay, this was another thing that was interesting. HIV. Okay? HIV... people with HIV are way more at risk for getting shingles and probably get them quite often because their immune systems are compromised. The more research that's being done about HIV, the more things are being uncovered about the truth about HIV. I'll just say that. I'm not going to go into that tonight because that's a whole nother life. Okay? A chronic condition like cancer or leukemia or, even things like emphysema, just any kind of chronic condition, MS, any of those, are going to tax your immune system, way more. And it's not a hit and miss. It's not like just getting a cold or, I'm down for a couple days because I have the flu. If you have a chronic condition, your immune system is working double, triple, quadruple time all the time. So you are an individual that needs to boost your immune system even more. Everything that you put into your body needs to count. Okay? It needs to count. It needs to be clean and natural and usable with very little waste, very little negative. You need to be eating a mucusless diet. You need fruits, nuts, grains, vegetables, seeds. A lot less meat, a lot less dairy. I don't even have, I can't say I don't have any dairy because I do sometimes eat cheese and sometimes I like butter on my toast. But I'd rather have butter than margarine. But if I want yogurt, I usually do like a coconut milk yogurt or an almond milk yogurt. I don't do a lot of dairy. But stay away from things that form mucus. We've talked about this before. You need to limit the animal proteins for that reason. Okay? I'm not saying don't eat any, I'm just saying limit it. And don't, when you do eat animal proteins, don't eat a plate full. Okay? Have a regular, healthy sized portion and then leave it alone. Be done. Okay? Medications are another thing that can compromise your immune system, especially things like I said, like steroids, like prednisone, and those kinds of things. Really major immune compromising drugs. Okay. And then, like I said, the organ transplant patients are obviously more compromised as well. Young people can get these things, but they're less likely only because their cells are rapidly, they're just in a different growth phase. But most young people these days eat very poorly. So it won't be long until they'll be in that group too, because their immune systems will be compromised just from their diet, unless they've got good parents that are looking after them there. Okay, some of the things that I looked into as far as remedies and aids for shingles, I also found was interesting, because again, I'm bringing it all back to a compromised immune system, right? So one of the things at the top of the list was avoid and manage stress. Well, that always makes me laugh because everything is stressful these days. And granted, you can choose not to be stressed out about things. And for the most part, I do. I don't really stress that much. I know who's got my life and whose hands I'm in. And I don't really stress a whole lot about that. But I do get concerned about my loved ones, and, tornadoes roll through and, different things happen. And you just, you do encounter stress. Everybody deals with it differently. But, and, getting enough sleep is huge. That in itself is a stressor. If you're not sleeping well at night, I know you've noticed me yawn about 4 times. I've been up since 5, and I usually have to get up at least once in the night with my dog. And so I don't ever feel like I sleep the whole night through, which is not good for you. And my morning time sleep is my best sleep, but I've been having to get up really early lately, and I'm just kind of jacked up, from that. So I'm hoping this weekend I can get some good sleep, catch up a little bit. But drinking plenty of water, drinking plenty of herbal teas, those are ways that you can help your immune system and help your body. Avoid things that tax your body, like alcohol and too much caffeine, too much coffee, those kinds of things. They just drain your body. They're a draw. I'm not going to say they're the worst thing you can do for your body, but I'm just saying try to moderate and don't be excessive about any of those things, because your body's trying to catch up. All right, so give it some help. So some of the herbs that I would recommend, like I said before, would be the adaptogenics, ashwagandha, astragalus, ginseng, ginger's good. St. John's wort is another one that would be very good. And maybe even a St. John's wort, like essential oil, that you could put on the back of your neck and behind your ears and just let your body absorb it in. It's very calming. It's very soothing. It's good for, I put it in my Brighter Days tincture because it's really good for people who are trying to get off prescription meds or struggle with depression or anything like that. So any of those things, St. John's wort's really good for that. Chamomile is another one that's really good for that. If you do, shingles in particular, that virus deals with the nerves. So think about herbs that are nervine herbs, like passion flower or skullcap. Always lobelia, a little bit of lobelia in there would help bring things to where they need it. It's the smart herb. It's a transitory herb. And so it would bring things where it needs to be. I have had pretty good success with clients who have had shingles with peppermint essential oil, with a carrier oil, and topically applying that, and it's been very helpful. Eliminate foods like anything processed, anything that comes out of a box or a can at this point. Just don't even get it. Don't get convenience foods. Now's not the time. This is not a time in our history that you need to be eating those kinds of foods. Get rid of them. We're going backwards. We're going back to things that we know are healthy and good. Don't drink a lot of soda and soft drinks. Every now and then a nice cold little root beer sounds good, or something like that. But just drink water or apple juice or things that are clean and good. Lemon water is, to me, one of the most refreshing, or cucumber water, things like that. if you do have a sweet tooth and you need your sweets, then try to replace the sugar with maple syrup, like a grade B if you can find it, maple syrup, or honey, a nice raw honey. Those are both stronger tastes. I grow stevia and I enjoy stevia, so I use stevia in my things that I want to sweeten up. But not everybody likes stevia, so find something that's natural and use that instead of refined white sugar as much as you can. Corn oil and corn products, especially these days when most of that is genetically modified, if it's even corn, stay away from that. All that stuff's really hard to digest anyway. Actually, you don't digest it. It usually just goes right through you. So what's the point? Just stay away from that. Wheat-based products like pasta and bread and crackers and that kind of stuff, again, for similar reasons, you're not really sure where the grain's coming from, and you don't know what else is in it. So unless you're making your own bread, I do make my bread. I make sourdough bread, and that's what I use, but I don't, and I have made sourdough noodles, and I've made sourdough tortillas, but I use a really good flour from an Amish community. They grind all their own. Hopefully, I feel pretty good about it. I mean, I feel better about it than I would buying something from the store at this point. Butter is okay, but don't use the margarine. Stay away from anything that isn't clean, okay? It's got additives. Stay away from the additives. You don't want any yellow dye. You don't want any, I did find a place, that same Amish place, where I can buy raw milk cheddar cheese, and interestingly enough, it's not yellow. It's white, and it actually is incredibly good. But I'll just have like a little sliver of cheese every now and then, and it just, with some apple slices or something, and I really enjoy that. But I started, reading up on all the stuff that they're putting in cheese, and it's like, ooh. And I can taste the difference. I mean, one tastes like plastic, and the other tastes like real cheese. So go the extra mile, even if it means you eat less of it because of, maybe it costs more. Just let yourself have the real food, but you're not going to be able to pig out on it because it doesn't have all the added stuff. Doesn't taste like plastic. Some of the best oils to consume would be avocado oil, olive oil. Make sure they're cold pressed and organic whenever possible. Coconut oil is good. Flax oil, but don't heat flax oil. If you're going to use flax oil, keep it in the fridge and put it in your shakes or that kind of thing, but don't heat it. You'll kill it in no time. I mean, it's worthless to you if you heat it, okay? And it also does not have a real good shelf life. So that would be like the last on my list, would be flax oil. Some supplemental things I would recommend to help boost your immune system would be spirulina, herbs, like I said, elderberry, cinnamon, ginger, mushrooms like reishi mushroom, maitake mushroom, I'll think about some more. Then you've got like spirulina, I said. Flaxseed oil is a good, I don't know, like 10 milliliters or so a day, just a little bit in something. It's kind of got a weird taste, but it would be good for you to consume at some point. I don't know. Some people just hardcore it, put it in a spoon and down the hatch, and some people put it in stuff and try to choke it down. Slippery elm is another one, and I've talked to you about slippery elm a lot because of its benefits for your GI tract and, healing properties. It's very, very healing, but it's also really good in this case to help boost your immune system and keep things tightened up. Okay. Rose hips. If you've got rose bushes, you've got rose hips. Chamomile, peppermint, ginger tea. Okay, so then you have lysine, which is a protein. It's one of the amino acids. And I remember this from when I was a kid. I would get canker sores. I was always like biting my lips and stuff, and then I'd get a really bad canker sore. And it wasn't until I discovered Golden Seal when I got older. The stuff is the nastiest tasting stuff, but I would just take the straight powder. My friend would give me Golden Seal powder, and I put it right on my sore. And it would hurt for a second, and it tasted really gross. But usually by the time I drove from her house back to my house, which was probably a 40-minute drive in California, my sore was already shriveling up and drying up. That's how fast Golden Seal worked on it. So it is very antiviral, Golden Seal is. Because that's what that is herpes virus. You know, same thing that we're dealing with this. But lysine will do the same thing. So if you can get a form of lysine that's not tableted, you know, where you don't know what else is in it, that would be something good too. Or better yet, like I said, just get a really good, complete plant-based protein and drink a shake every day. Also, bee pollen is another way to boost your immune system. So those are all things that you can do. B12 is, of course, very good for boosting your immune system. And what else? Kelp, brewer's yeast. Like I said, the mushrooms are good. Elecampane. Okay, that's another one. And we talked about elecampane, I don't know, a couple months ago. I showed you pictures of mine growing outside. It kind of looks like comfrey. And that is also a really good immune boosting herb. Really good. So these are all things that are not out of reach for you. You can grow them yourself, or you can identify them and get a hold of an herbalist like me or whatever, and you can use formulas that have got these things in them. So I just feel like you really need to do something to be proactive with this, because shingles is just one thing that could happen. But I'm telling you, my mom told me, she said, Wendy, I've just got to tell you, this is right up there with kidney stones. It hurts so bad. And you have to know what my mom's lived through. She was born with one kidney, and she had lots of kidney stones. And we almost lost her many times. In fact, the doctor told her when she was like 35 that she would never see 50. Well, she's 90, and she's still here. But she remembers the pain of kidney stones, and she said, this hurts so bad. And it just really got me thinking, how many other people are in line for this, for whatever reason? You're just going to have to be proactive. Some of the other herbs that would help with fighting off the viral things like shingles and other viral things would be like I said, St. John's wort's a good one. Blue flag is a good herb. The pine bark is good. Pine needles. Pine needles, like I use in my cupinimectin syrup, 300 times more potent than vitamin C. Pine needles are a huge shot of vitamin C. So you want to make sure you use the right kind of pine needles. You need like yellow pine or loblolly pine. Not all pine trees are created equal, so you need to be careful with that. Vervain, wild rose, skullcap, like I said, all of those are good. And cleavers. Cleavers is another one, and I've talked to you about cleavers, springtime cleavers, because it is one of the key players. It's one of the best ones for cleansing and clearing out your lymphatic system. That's why it's a springtime herb. That's why it comes up in the spring. And so get yourself some cleavers. Just go for a walk in the field. It will find you. And, you know, I do have a clean blood tea that I make that's got cleavers in it. And just do what you can to be proactive to help your body rid itself of toxins and to be able to function the way it's designed to function, which is to fight off these attackers that are in your body. But you've got to boost your immune system. You're going to have to help it, because between the way you have been eating for the past I don't know how long, and what you possibly may have done to your body in other ways, you're in a situation where you're a target, okay, for diseases that attack compromised immune systems. So we know that vitamin C is a good one. So eat things that are high in vitamin C. Like I said, rosehip tea is very high in vitamin C. Pine needle tea is very high in vitamin C. If you need any extra help, I mean, I've got plenty of products in my line that do those things as well. Okay, so I've got a few minutes left, and I wanted to talk to you about one other thing. And it's controversial, I know, but I happen to know that it works, and it works well, and it works fast. So I'm going to talk about it briefly. You can dismiss it if you'd like, or not, okay? What I'm going to talk to you about is ivermectin. I did a deep dive this last week. This was one of the reasons that I didn't go on last night, because I was still waiting for some other information to come back for me. Ivermectin has been around a long time, but it is a major antiviral. And it kicks just about any viral condition. They're using it now to treat other things as well, cancers, and this is an abstract to a study that was published in 2020 from, I can't pronounce all their names, but it was, I think this one was one that I found on PubMed. It's from Tokyo, okay? And the title was Ivermectin, a systemic review from antiviral effects to COVID-19 complementary regimen. Okay, I wasn't necessarily looking for COVID-19 stuff, but I knew it was going to pull up some of that, because that's what was used for COVID this last go around, okay? A lot of people were doing it. I personally, I buy it at the feed store, and I keep it in my house. And I had also purchased a couple of tubes and sent it to my mother, and that's why she had that. And I said, okay, Mom, you need to break out the horse paste, get a whatever you got to put it on, a cracker or whatever. And I told her about how much to use, and I said, once a day you need to take this. It's very, it's all you need. It's just once a day for about 3 to 5 days, and it will usually kick just about anything. So in that, as far as a viral thing, okay, the abstract says ivermectin proposes many potential effects to treat a range of diseases with its antimicrobial, antiviral, and anti-cancer properties as a wonder drug. It is highly effective against many microorganisms, including some viruses. In this comprehensive systemic review, antiviral effects of ivermectin are summarized, including vitro and in vivo studies over the past 50 years. So it's not a new thing. It's just kind of been kept quiet, okay? Several studies, and this is what attracted me to this particular study. Several studies reported antiviral effects of ivermectin on RNA viruses, and then it lists a whole bunch of them, okay? Including HIV type 1, respiratory syndrome, coronavirus, blah, 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 okay? Furthermore, there are some studies showing antiviral effects of ivermectin against, turn this page, DNA viruses, and it lists some of those. And one of those in that list was a herpes virus as well. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, it's antimicrobial, it's antiviral, and it's anti-cancer. And it's been around for 50 years. Well, you know how weird, how it's always funny how, like, when you decide you want to buy a certain car, or you've just bought a different, a certain car, and then it seems like everywhere you look, you see that car. Do you know what I'm talking about? I mean, it's like, hey, I never noticed there were so many people driving that car. Well, the same kind of thing happened when I started doing the research for this live this last week. It's like everybody that I came across, I'm not saying everybody, but it seemed like it. A lot of people that I came in contact with in the last 4 days have ivermectin stories. And one of the gentlemen that I was talking to was an older gentleman. I'm thinking maybe late 70s, early 80s. And he was saying, these are country folk, but he was talking about how his mom and his grandpa and his, brothers and sisters, they always had ivermectin because they had horses. And when anybody got sick, they just gave them a shot of, a blob of ivermectin, and that's what they got to take care of it. And he says that, we grew up with the stuff. And, because we couldn't afford to be sick, we couldn't afford to be laid up for days. We had to be better. He says it usually take maybe 2 days and everybody be back on their feet and we're, back out working the farm. Well, those kinds of stories just kept rolling past me for the last 3 or 4 days. And I thought, this is pretty neat because I'm reading the research, but now I'm getting the stories. And, the subject would come up, I don't know, in whatever conversation we were having. And before we knew it, we were talking about horse paste. Well, that's one thing I will say. If you choose to use ivermectin, I would recommend that you just go to the Tractor Supply or the feed store and just buy a $10 tube of horse paste, the 1.87%. Don't get it in tablet form and don't get it in liquid form. Those have all been messed with. Just get the horse paste, okay? I think you'd be better off. Doesn't taste all that great, but it's not the worst thing you've ever tasted. Okay, I'll just put it that way. And I wouldn't recommend the apple flavor. It doesn't help. It doesn't. Just take, your nickel quarter-size blob, stick it on something that you can choke down and eat it. And you're done. It's once a day, okay? So there was another study that I pulled up the title was Ivermectin, a Multifaceted Medication. And this study talked about several different infectious diseases and how ivermectin was being used. This was in the 1970s to treat these diseases. So it's interesting why did we not know about this? Well, I'll tell you why. It's not big business. It competes with pharmaceuticals. We know that. Same thing with herbs. You don't know about herbs that can do all of this because that competes with, high dollar antibiotics and different kinds of drugs that you have to get prescriptions for and, blah, blah, blah. So there's two sides to every coin. And you can choose to go the high dollar one and may or may not work. Usually has side effects. And for those of you that have followed me through the years, why we have side effects, even though 75 to 78% of all medications they originate with herbs. Digitalis is a good example. It's foxglove, okay? But it's been messed with. And what they do is they find the constituents in the herb that have the effects that they want. For example, my VicaWild tincture that I make it performs in your body like morphine, Vicodin, and aspirin. But so it's a great pain reliever, but it's not any of those things. It is 3 distinct herbs that have those constituents, but I did not extract anything from them. I just combined them and extracted the whole herb into the medium. So when they create medications, they take the constituents that they want out of those herbs and they extract a whole bunch out of a bunch of herbs, and they get this concentration of that constituent. And now it's a fast-acting, great drug, but it has a ton of side effects because they haven't used the whole herb. And when you use the whole herb, it has its God-given built-in checks and balances. So you don't get side effects because it has all of its properties still working together. It has a natural set of checks and balances. So that's the danger with pharmaceuticals, because they say, yeah, we started with this, it's made from herbs, it's made from this and that, but it isn't. It's a concentration of the constituents that they have pulled out of those herbs, but they left all the other parts out. So it doesn't have any checks and balances. So what you get is a second list of all the side effects, some of them including death. So herbal medicine, in my opinion, is a much better way to go, but it's not going to happen as fast. Your body has to work with it. And in order for your body to be receptive and to work well with natural herbal medicine, it needs to be fed well. It needs to have a good functioning immune system. It needs to have all its parts operating the way they should. Okay? You get new cells every 11 months. So that's part of it too. That's part of the way we're designed. Things get rejuvenated, but unfortunately, you're going to replicate bad cells if you don't make changes and if you don't move in a different direction. You detox your body more. You eliminate bad things that are compromising your immune system. Eliminate those foods that aren't any good. Drink distilled water and good water instead of infused waters or bottled water that you don't know what's in it. Don't drink Dasani. It's full of salt. Just be proactive with your own body. It's designed to heal itself. It knows what to do. But it's kind of like getting in your car and expecting your car to take you where you want to go, but you never change its oil. In fact, you never even fill up its oil. You just let it run until it doesn't have any oil. And then you wonder, what the heck's the matter with my car? This stupid car, it's a lemon. No, it just wasn't maintained. So you need to have the same kind of mindset with your body. It needs to be a daily maintenance. Don't put toxic things in your body. Don't compromise your immune system. And then on top of that, you may have to assist it with herbal things. Like I said, I do that, and I have plenty of things that I make if you're looking for something, or if you just want to know more about how to do it yourself, you can get a hold of me in that respect too. I'll be happy to help you however I need to help you, because that's what I'm here for. I just want you to understand that the ball is in your court. You need to be the one that takes charge of your body, your earth suit. Okay? It is the temple housing the spirit. And you need to take care of it, or it's going to fall down around you. And if you do take care of it, you can live like my mom, 90. She's independent living. She got COVID. She fought COVID with just my herbal stuff. I sent her boxes full of stuff on her own with nobody else to help her for 3 weeks. Came out the other side. So now she's built an immunity with that, and she's good with it. That's what she wanted to do. So make the decision, whichever way you want to go. But if you need help, that's what I'm here for. That's why I'm here every week. And I know this was kind of a little different. A different kind of live than I usually do, but I really felt like I needed to address it, and I felt like you guys maybe needed this information. Some of it you may already know, but maybe just needed a little refresher. And I don't know. I don't want shingles. I don't know about the rest of you. And I don't want any of those other compromising diseases or situations in my body. So take care of your body. If you've got aging eyes, I have really great eye drops. I've been using them for years because I knew both my parents had macular degeneration, and I wasn't going to go there if I could help it. So my eyes are good. I don't have macular degeneration. My eyes are older. I can tell. I have to use reading glasses sometimes now, but they're healthy, and they're, I feel like I'll be able to use them for a while. So think about it, and think about what you can do, what you can eliminate that is not good for your body, that's compromising your immune system. If you need to know more, and if you have more questions as to, what things do compromise your immune system, then you can always text me if you have my phone number, or message me at Crooked House Herbals Facebook, or you can email me at wendy@crookedhouseherbals.com, and I will be happy. Or I do have a chat function on my website, so you can, if I'm not online, which a lot of times I'm not, you can still send me a message. I get it on my phone, and I can answer you back. So I'll be happy to help you however I can. And we do have the Crooked House Herbals YouTube channel that's got all the previous lives archived on there, so you can go back and learn things that you need to know. But I hope that this has helped you, and I wish you a blessed weekend, and I will see you next week. We're back on Thursdays next week. I apologize for not being here last night, but I'm glad I waited because I wanted to get that other information together for you. All right. God bless you guys. Have a great weekend. See you next week.